The night sky over Earth had never seemed so quiet. Stars twinkled faintly, indifferent to the tiny blue planet below. But above the clouds, beyond the atmosphere, something ancient and cold was coming. For centuries, humanity had gazed at the stars and dreamed of exploring them, imagining the wonders that lay beyond. They had imagined peaceful first contact, friendly alien civilizations, or the discovery of new worlds. No one had imagined the enemy. Far beyond Mars, in the emptiness of space, massive ships glided silently, their dark hulls absorbing starlight like shadows in the void. Alien scouts had been watching humanity for decades. They had seen the wars that tore nations apart, the corruption that ran through governments, the greed and carelessness that nearly destroyed the planet. They had watched humans argue over borders, over ideology, over trivial things while their cities burned and oceans choked on waste. In the eyes of the galaxy, humanity was weak. "They are finished," hissed the alien commander, his voice low and sharp, vibrating through the hull of his flagship. "This planet is ripe for conquest. No resistance will stand. Their technology is primitive. Their societies fragile. They will fall easily." On Earth, the world did not shiver. Humans did not run to their bunkers or scream at the sky. They did not send fleets into space in panic, because humanity had long known they would face this moment someday. It had been coming. The warning signals, the strange readings in deep space, the sudden disappearances of probes, it all pointed to the inevitable. And yet humanity remained calm, quiet, patient. Beneath the surface of cities, buried deep under mountains, hidden within asteroids, and orbiting in secret facilities around the planet, humanity had been preparing. For decades, secret engineers, scientists, and visionaries had worked tirelessly. They had learned from every failure, from every loss. Ships had been built in silence, cloaked and hidden, powered with energy the aliens couldn't even imagine. Weapons had been crafted not for war alone, but for survival. Human minds had been sharpened to think not only like soldiers, but like strategists, engineers, and pioneers. On the surface, life went on as usual. Children laughed in playgrounds. People went to work, to school, to their lives. No one knew what waited in the darkness of space, and yet everything was ready. Humanity's greatest strength had always been hidden in plain sight. Their ability to endure, to adapt, to rise from every catastrophe that had ever struck them. The aliens arrived at the edge of the solar system, their massive fleet blocking the sunlight that reflected off distant planets. The first probes were sent to Mars, to Jupiter, to Earth itself. They scanned, recorded, analyzed, but found nothing of concern. Human cities were still fragile. Human defenses were weak. Their calculations told them victory would be easy, and the aliens celebrated. Their voices carried through their ships, triumphant and arrogant. "Pathetic," they said. "They do not even know we are here. Their end will be swift. Their cries will echo briefly, and then the galaxy will forget them." But they did not know the truth. They did not know that humanity had learned the art of patience, that humans could endure endless hardship and still rise stronger, that humans had hidden a force so vast, so silent, that even the most advanced alien sensors could not detect it. Deep in the asteroid belt, massive vessels stirred. The largest human ships, shaped like triangles, circles, and strange geometric forms, awakened from decades of silence. Engineers scurried through corridors, checking systems, running diagnostics. Pilots tested their reflexes in simulation chambers, hearts pounding with anticipation. Scientists monitored energy outputs, ensuring that every system could survive the chaos of space war. On the bridge of the flagship, Aegis Captain Lila Chen stood in silence, her hands resting lightly on the rail. She was young, but her eyes carried the weight of history. She had grown up hearing stories of lost battles, of cities burned, of friends who had died for nothing. And now she thought it was time to change the story. Humanity had waited, humanity had prepared, and humanity would rise. A low hum began beneath the decks, a vibration that resonated in every metal joint of every ship. Engines roared to life quietly at first, then with a power that shook the hull. Cloaking devices shimmered and flickered into existence. Weapons charged silently, their energy contained until the moment they were needed. The fleet was ready, and somewhere, in the darkness beyond Saturn, the alien scouts noticed a change. Signals began to vanish. Probes went silent. Communications flickered. And for the first time, the aliens felt something unfamiliar. Unease. Something in the human presence was not as it seemed. Something was coming, and it was nothing like they had expected. Captain Chen breathed slowly, letting the tension settle in her chest. She looked at her crew, at the blinking consoles and the hum of the sleeping machines. "We rise not because we are the strongest," she said quietly. "We rise because we refuse to fall. Not today, not ever." The stars waited. The galaxy waited. And from the silent depths of space, humanity's armada was about to awaken. The silence of space shattered like glass. From the shadows of the asteroid belt, humanity's hidden fleet emerged. Massive ships glided into formation, their hulls black as midnight, reflecting nothing of the stars. Cloaking devices flickered and vanished as the ships revealed themselves. Thousands of tons of steel, firepower, and human ingenuity. The aliens had expected weakness, chaos, but what they saw instead was precision, patience, and a terrifying calm. Captain Lila Chen stood on the bridge of the Aegis, her hands gripping the rail. She felt the tension in the room. The energy of every crew member focused on the single task ahead. This was the moment humanity had prepared for decades. Not revenge, not conquest, survival. The galaxy had underestimated them, laughed at them, and believed Earth was nothing but a fragile rock of squabbling, weak creatures. They were about to be proven wrong. The first targets were the alien scout ships that had dared to approach Mars. They were fast, nimble, but they carried no understanding of what waited. The humans had not just built ships, they had built weapons that bent physics, energy pulses that could slice through alien shields, and automated drones that struck with perfect timing. Lila's voice cut through the tension. "Engage drones. Target the nearest scouts. Fire when ready." Within seconds, a swarm of drones accelerated into the void. Energy beams lanced through space, striking the alien ships with deadly precision. Hulls twisted and warped. Shields collapsed like paper, and explosions lit the darkness like miniature novas. The alien commanders were stunned. Their sensors could not explain it. Their calculations had promised an easy victory. Instead, they watched their fleet crumble without warning. "This is impossible," Admiral Kor hissed through his comm. They are hiding something. They should be weak, but..." His voice trailed off, trembling with disbelief. From Earth, civilians watched in awe. Through the careful broadcast networks, people saw their hidden armada move like a storm across the solar system. Families, children, soldiers, scientists. They did not see the fear in their faces. They saw hope, determination. The culmination of decades of preparation. Humanity was not reckless. Humanity was careful, calculated, and unstoppable when united. As the alien scouts fell, the rest of the fleet adjusted. They sent reinforcements, massive carriers armed with energy cannons and missiles. The humans expected this. Every strategy had a counter, every trap a response. Lila Chen gave another command, calm but firm. "All ships move to defensive formation Beta, let them come. Remember, they think they are the hunters. We are the storm." The aliens advanced, confident they could overwhelm the human fleet. Their arrogance was their greatest weakness. One by one, their ships moved into the zones humans had prepared. Mines hidden in asteroid clusters detonated, disabling engines. Energy nets spread invisibly, trapping entire squadrons. Drones struck again, exploiting every weak point. Humanity's fleet did not just attack. They controlled the battlefield, bending space itself to their advantage. On the Aegis, Lila watched the reports with quiet satisfaction. Her crew worked in perfect sync, voices low, movements precise. Every life mattered. Every decision mattered. They were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the memory of every human who had suffered, for the cities that had burned, for the oceans that had been poisoned. They fought so that humanity would not be erased from the galaxy. The first alien commander to fall screamed through a broken comm, disbelief turning into terror. They are everywhere. How can this be? They were supposed to be weak, disorganized. His words were cut off as his ship exploded in a cascade of fire and debris. Yet even in victory, Lila Chen felt the weight of the moment. Each ship destroyed meant life lost, even if alien. War was never clean. But she looked at the stars and thought of the billions of humans whose sacrifices had made this moment possible. Engineers who had died building the fleet. Scientists who had risked their lives to test weapons. Families who had hidden supplies and blueprints. Humanity had prepared for this not for glory but for survival. And now it had a chance to live. The alien fleet faltered. Confusion spread like wildfire through their ranks. Their advance slowed. Their signals wavered. They had underestimated Earth. They had believed themselves invincible, and for the first time, fear touched the hearts of the galaxy's most advanced species. Captain Chen took a deep breath. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly, almost to herself. "We are not finished. They will learn. Earth does not bow, Earth does not break, and Earth will rise." Above the planet, the sky remained calm as if nothing had changed. Yet in the darkness beyond, humanity's armada moved with silent determination, ready to remind the galaxy that every underestimation of Earth came with a price, and the galaxy would pay dearly. The alien commanders could hardly believe what they were seeing. Their scouts and carriers, the fleets they had counted on to secure victory, were vanishing one by one. Entire squadrons were reduced to drifting wrecks before their eyes. Panic rippled through their ranks, spreading faster than any human attack could. They had come to conquer a weak, fractured species. Instead, they faced a force that was precise, relentless, and utterly unyielding. Admiral Kor pounded the control panel with his clawed hand, his voice trembling. This cannot be happening. How can a single planet muster such power?" He watched his screens as explosions flickered across the void, marking the deaths of hundreds of ships. His fleet, the pride of their civilization, faltered in confusion. Every tactic they tried to use against the humans failed. Every prediction crumbled. In the human fleet, Captain Lila Chen's voice was calm, steady, almost soothing amidst the chaos. "All ships maintain formation. Target the nearest threats. Remember, precision is our ally. Every move counts." Her crew, exhausted but disciplined, followed her commands with perfect coordination. Every weapon fired, every maneuver executed had been calculated for decades. Humans had studied, planned, and waited for this moment. They were not simply fighting, they were teaching the galaxy a lesson. The alien soldiers began to whisper among themselves. Fear grew in their ranks. They had always assumed that humans would panic, that humans would beg for mercy, that humans would collapse under pressure. None of it had happened. Instead, the humans moved like a single organism, a silent storm of metal, fire, and determination. Even in the alien flagship, the comms were chaos. They appear everywhere. Systems we thought hidden. They were waiting. "We are trapped!" one officer cried. The realization was dawning too late. Humanity had not just defended, they had ambushed with perfect precision, using knowledge, patience, and ingenuity. On Earth, people watched the conflict unfold through secure feeds, their hearts beating in unison with the pulse of the fleet. Mothers clutched children, elders held hands in quiet awe, soldiers stood at attention. No one had ever seen humanity fight like this before. There were no reckless charges, no blind fury, only control, purpose, and unwavering courage. Humanity was showing the galaxy that survival was not about brute strength alone. It was about resolve, intelligence, and the refusal to surrender. The alien fleets tried to regroup. Carriers formed lines, energy cannons glowed in preparation, and fighter squadrons raced to intercept human drones. Yet every attempt was countered. Mines concealed in asteroid clusters detonated with devastating effect. Automated interceptors swooped down on alien ships with calculated timing. Energy nets immobilized entire wings. The humans had anticipated every move, countered every strategy, and remained calm. Lila Chen watched a report of an alien destroyer being disabled without a single human ship lost. She let herself smile slightly, but the smile was not of triumph. It was of quiet determination. For every life lost in the past, for every city burned, we rise. This is what it means to endure. Her words were soft, but they carried weight. Every human crew member heard them, and their resolve strengthened. Admiral Kor, meanwhile, could feel the grip of fear tightening around him. His fleet was fractured, disoriented, and falling apart. The humans had not only destroyed their ships, they had shattered their confidence. The aliens had believed the galaxy's might could crush a single planet. Instead, they were learning that humanity's strength came from something deeper than technology or numbers. It came from heart, from spirit, from unbreakable will. As the battle raged, the human armada moved with eerie synchronization, almost as if they shared a single mind. Drones swept the enemy flanks, energy beams carved paths through the void, and human ships rotated positions with machine-like precision. Every strike was calculated, every maneuver rehearsed. The aliens tried to adapt, but humanity was always one step ahead, anticipating, countering, and outmaneuvering with terrifying efficiency. Finally, in the alien flagship, panic erupted into chaos. Commands were shouted and ignored. Calculations were worthless, and fear replaced strategy. Admiral Kor realized with dawning horror that they had underestimated humanity. They had come to crush a species they thought weak and disorganized. Instead, they had awakened something ancient, something resilient, something unstoppable. On the Aegis, Lila Chen remained calm. She looked at the stars beyond the viewport and whispered almost to herself, "This is only the beginning. Let the galaxy learn what it means to face Earth. We rise, always." Above the planet, the sky remained unchanged. To an untrained eye, nothing had happened. But the darkness of space was no longer empty. It was alive with the silent, deadly rise of humanity's fleet, and the galaxy would never forget the shock of that first strike. The galaxy was changing. Alien fleets that had once ruled the void with absolute confidence now moved with hesitation, uncertainty flickering across their view screens. Humanity's silent armada had revealed itself not as a scattered group of desperate defenders, but as a single, unstoppable force. Every movement, every strike was precise, calculated, and devastating. The aliens realized with growing dread that they had underestimated a species they thought fragile and foolish. Captain Lila Chen stood on the bridge of the Aegis, her eyes scanning the endless field of stars. Every ship in the fleet was alive with purpose. Every crew member focused on their part in the intricate dance of war. "Sensors report 3 alien carriers approaching at high velocity," her tactical officer said, voice tight with tension. "They outnumber us 3-1, Lila's jaw tightened. She had expected this. Humanity had always fought against the odds. They had survived nuclear wars, environmental disasters, plagues, and countless internal conflicts. They had risen every time they were pushed to the brink. Now, in the vast emptiness of space, they faced an enemy that had never known defeat. And yet she knew one thing for certain. Humans did not surrender. Humans did not yield. Humans rose. "Then we fight smarter," she said, her voice steady and resolute. "Deploy interceptors. Activate defense grids. Focus on coordination. We do not falter. Remember, they think we will fall. Let's show them we do not." The alien carriers surged forward, their energy cannons glowing ominously in the darkness. They unleashed waves of fighter drones attempting to overwhelm the humans with sheer numbers. But the silent armada was ready. Mines hidden in nearby asteroids detonated in perfect timing, disabling entire squadrons. Automated turrets on human ships fired with precision, destroying enemy fighters mid-flight. The humans did not panic, did not rush. They moved with eerie coordination, as if every ship, every pilot, every weapon shared a single mind. From Earth, people watched in awe, their hearts swelling with pride and fear. They had built this moment through decades of sacrifice. Engineers who had labored in hidden shipyards, Scientists who had risked their lives to test untested weapons, families who had kept their preparations secret for generations. Every human watching felt the weight of history on their shoulders. Humanity had not just built ships. They had built hope, determination, and a will that no enemy could break. The battle intensified. Alien energy cannons tore through the void, leaving trails of glowing plasma, but human shields absorbed and redirected the energy with near-perfect efficiency. Drones swept the enemy lines, striking at weak points, disabling engines and forcing alien ships into chaotic formations. The humans attacked and retreated, striking only when they had the advantage. Every move was a message: underestimate Earth at your peril. On the alien flagship, chaos erupted. Admiral Kor could not comprehend the precision, the coordination, the absolute control the humans displayed. "This is impossible," he shouted to his officers, his voice shaking. They should not be able to do this. Our calculations are correct. They cannot fight like this." But calculations could not account for something intangible, something the galaxy had never seen from humanity before: unyielding courage. Humans fought not because they desired power or domination, but because they refused to lose. Every ship in the fleet was a tribute to lives lost, to cities destroyed, to friends and family who had endured hardship. Every strike carried their grief, their hope, and their relentless determination. In the chaos, Captain Chen's crew executed maneuvers with flawless precision. Ships rotated positions to shield vulnerable vessels. Energy pulses disabled alien weapons without destroying the carriers entirely. Every move was strategic, every decision purposeful. Humanity's silent armada was not just fighting. They were teaching the galaxy a lesson about patience, planning, and resilience. Amid the explosions and the flashes of energy beams, Lila felt a deep connection to every human who had come before her. She thought of the children who had grown up dreaming of space, of the scientists who had worked tirelessly without recognition, of the soldiers who had trained endlessly for this very moment. All their sacrifices converged into this battle, into this singular point in history. She whispered quietly to herself, almost as if saying a prayer. For every life lost, for every city burned, for every moment we were underestimated, we rise always, and rise they did. The human fleet moved as one, a deadly symphony of strategy and courage. The aliens were forced back, confused, fearful, and increasingly desperate. Humanity was no longer the hunted. They were the storm, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Above Earth, the night sky remained peaceful, a deceptive calm hiding the storm that raged in the void. But the humans in the fleet and the people on the planet knew the truth. The silent armada had awakened, and the heart of humanity's resistance was alive, beating stronger than ever, and the galaxy had only begun to understand what it meant for Earth to rise. The alien flagship loomed ahead, massive and menacing, a symbol of centuries of power. Its hull glimmered with energy shields and weapon systems designed to crush any enemy. Yet in the void before it, humanity's silent armada moved like shadows of inevitability, relentless and silent. The aliens believed they had faced resistance before, but nothing could prepare them for this. Captain Lila Chen's hands rested lightly on the railing of the Aegis Bridge. Her crew worked in perfect coordination, voices low but purposeful, fingers moving across control panels with practiced precision. For years they had trained, planned, and waited. Every maneuver, every system, every weapon had been designed for this moment. And now the moment had arrived. Enemy flagship detected, shields at maximum, weapons primed, her tactical officer reported, tension tight in his voice. They're ready to fire. Lila nodded, her gaze steady. Then we strike. Full synchronization. Target the engines, then the weapon arrays. We disable them, we don't destroy unnecessarily. Let them live to understand what they underestimated. The alien Admiral Kor stared at the void before him, disbelief and fear coiling in his chest. His calculations had been flawless, yet everything was failing. His fleet was scattered, his ships disabled or destroyed, and now a single human fleet hidden for decades was advancing with deadly precision. They cannot be like this, he whispered. They are stronger than we predicted. The first human drones surged forward, moving faster than any alien vessel could track. Energy pulses struck the flagship's weapon systems, disabling cannons and missile launchers with precision strikes. The alien crew scrambled to repair the damage, but every attempt was countered. Humanity did not act randomly. They acted with perfect calculation, each strike planned, each maneuver rehearsed countless times before. Captain Chen watched the status reports on her display. Each alien system that went offline brought her crew a quiet, focused satisfaction. "Prepare the energy arrays," she ordered. "When I give the signal, unleash everything at once. We end this with precision." The alien flagship fired its massive energy beams, streaks of destruction cutting through the void, but the human fleet moved with fluid precision, dodging, intercepting, and redirecting attacks. The battle was a deadly dance, a clash of will and intelligence. Every moment, every decision carried the weight of survival. Admiral Kor screamed into the comms, panic now fully overtaking him. "Retreat, fall back." "We cannot, this is impossible." But his officers were frozen, confused, unable to comprehend the human strategy. They had relied on superior numbers, on raw power, but the humans had used something stronger: unity, determination, and relentless patience. "Signal the flanking units." "Now," Leela Chen commanded. The human ship split and circled, surrounding the alien flagship from all sides. Automated drones moved in coordinated waves, disabling engines, communications, and shields. The massive vessel, once a symbol of invincibility, shuddered under the precision assault. Every strike told the aliens the same truth: Earth did not surrender. Earth did not yield. Earth rose. In the bridge of the flagship, the alien crew panicked. Energy shields flickered, weapons went offline, and engines struggled to respond. Admiral Kor could feel the weight of failure crushing him. Every moment of hesitation had allowed humanity to gain the upper hand. Every calculation he had trusted was wrong. Through the chaos, Captain Chen spoke softly, almost to herself, as if marking a solemn moment. "For every life we lost, for every city destroyed, for every moment we were underestimated, we rise, and we will not fall." With a single command, the human fleet unleashed its energy arrays. Beams of controlled, devastating power tore through the alien flagship, disabling its engines entirely. The massive vessel drifted helpless and vulnerable, its crew scrambling in disbelief. Humanity had not sought annihilation. They had sought control, precision, and a lesson that could not be ignored. The alien fleet, watching their flagship fall, began to retreat in panic. Ships that had once advanced with arrogance now fled, broken and fearful. Humanity had not only defended their planet, they had shattered the invincible image of the alien Armada. On the Aegis, Leela Chen allowed herself a brief sigh of relief. Her crew remained vigilant, their eyes on the void, ready for any counterattack. She thought of the generations of humans who had made this moment possible. Engineers, scientists, families, and soldiers who had sacrificed so much. Every life had contributed to this victory. Above Earth, the planet remained calm, serene under the night sky. No one on the surface could see the Armada's brilliance, the silent strikes that had reshaped the galaxy. Yet the world felt the change, a subtle shift in the air, a reminder that humanity was no longer weak, no longer underestimated. The silent Armada had shown its teeth. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again, and somewhere deep in the void, Leela Chen whispered, a vow more than a statement. Let them retreat. Let them remember. Humanity rises, always. The alien fleets retreated, broken and humiliated. Once confident in their superiority, they now fled before a species they had thought weak and insignificant. Across the void, whispers of humanity's silent Armada spread like wildfire. Systems that had never imagined Earth as a threat began to fear it. The galaxy had learned a lesson, and the price had been paid by the alien Armada. Captain Lila Chen remained on the bridge of the Aegis, her eyes scanning the stars. The battle was over, at least for now, but the weight of victory rested heavily on her shoulders. The silence that followed was deafening, a reminder that war was never clean. Every strike, every explosion, every ship destroyed carried consequences, even if the enemy had been cruel, arrogant, and brutal. Her tactical officer approached, hesitating before speaking. "Captain, the enemy has withdrawn. Their flagship, it is drifting, powerless. They will not return for a long time." Lila nodded slowly. Relief mingled with a deep, quiet sadness. "Good," she said. "But we do not celebrate. Not yet. Remember the cost. Remember the lives that built this moment." Her words were a gentle echo of the sacrifices that had brought them here. Engineers who had labored in secret shipyards, scientists who had risked their lives for untested technologies, soldiers who had trained endlessly for this day, and countless civilians whose hope and faith had fueled the effort. Across the galaxy, alien leaders communicated in panic and disbelief. Their calculations had promised an easy victory, but they had faced something their technology could not predict: humanity itself. It was not only the fleet, the weapons, or the strategy. It was the people, the spirit, determination, and unbreakable will of a species that refused to surrender. Why can they do this?" one alien commander asked, voice trembling. "They are fragile. They should be weak, yet they are stronger than any force we have known. Humanity did not seek to conquer the galaxy. They had defended themselves, but their message was clear: underestimate Earth at your peril." The silent Armada had not risen to crush worlds or claim territory. They had risen to endure, to survive, and to ensure that no one would mistake weakness for vulnerability again. On the Aegis, Captain Chen walked the bridge slowly, observing her crew. Their faces were tired, marked with strain and worry, but also pride. They had faced impossible odds and prevailed. Yet Lila reminded herself that victory was not a moment. It was the sum of countless moments, small choices, and sacrifices made over decades. "Prepare reports for Earth Command," she said quietly. "We need to assess damage, tend to those who are wounded, and begin recovery operations. Humanity's strength is not just in battle, it is in how we rise afterward." Her tactical officer nodded. "Understood, Captain, but will the galaxy ever forget this?" Lila looked out the viewport at the endless stars. "They will remember. Not just the fleet, not just the destruction. They will remember what it means to face humanity and fail. They will remember that no weapon, no plan, no calculation can break our spirit. That is what they will never forget." The crew watched in silence, absorbing the truth of her words. For the first time, they felt the weight of what humanity had accomplished. They had not only survived, they had reshaped the galaxy's perception of Earth. They had sent a message louder than any cannon blast: humans endure. Humans rise, humans do not surrender. Meanwhile, in the drifting wreckage of the alien flagship, Admiral Kor stared at the stars in disbelief. His pride had been shattered. His fleet had been routed. And for the first time, he understood something fundamental about the species he had underestimated. Humanity's strength did not lie in numbers or technology. It lay in heart, resilience, and an unyielding will to survive. Back on Earth, civilians and military personnel alike watched the reports with quiet awe. The planet had been silent while its armada rose from hidden depths. It had been patient while generations of engineers, scientists, and volunteers built something that no alien threat could anticipate. And now, humanity had shown the galaxy that they were not fragile. They were not weak. They were formidable, unbreakable, and united in purpose. Captain Chen finally allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection. She thought of the billions who had made this possible, the fallen, the brave, the hopeful. "We rise because we must," she whispered. "We rise because we cannot be broken, and we rise not to conquer but to endure. That is the truth of humanity." As the silent armada drifted back toward Earth, The planet below remained calm, serene under the endless sky. To anyone watching from afar, Earth was still just a fragile blue dot. But in truth, it had become something far greater, a symbol of hope, strength, and resilience. And humanity had learned something too. They had learned that they were capable of facing the galaxy's most terrifying forces and surviving, not through sheer power alone, but through courage, unity, and unbreakable will. The silent Armada had returned home, not as conquerors but as guardians. They had fought, they had endured, and they had shown the galaxy that Earth was a force that could never be ignored. And in the quiet that followed, the people of Earth, soldiers and civilians alike, knew this truth. Humanity had risen. Humanity had endured. Humanity would never fall. Years passed, but the night the silent Armada rose from the void was never forgotten. Across the galaxy, the story spread from system to system, whispered from commander to commander, recorded in histories and archives. Humanity, once underestimated and dismissed, had become a symbol, a species that refused to fall, that rose when all seemed lost, that turned despair into triumph. On Earth, life had returned to a fragile peace. Cities rebuilt themselves, not just stronger but wiser. Children played in parks, unaware of the fleets that had hovered above their heads, their futures safeguarded by generations of courage and sacrifice. Scientists continued their work. Engineers repaired and upgraded ships. And soldiers trained, not for glory but to protect the planet that had become legendary across the stars. Captain Lila Chen, now older, walked quietly through a human shipyard. New vessels were under construction, silent giants waiting for their time. She paused, placing a hand on the hull of a ship as if greeting an old friend. "We showed them," she whispered. "We showed the galaxy what it means to face Earth." Her voice carried no pride, only a quiet, deep satisfaction. The Armada had not risen for revenge or conquest or fame. It had risen to defend humanity, and in doing so had written a message in the stars. Underestimate us at your peril. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations adjusted. Their perception of Earth had changed forever. They no longer spoke of the planet as weak or inconsequential. Even those who had once scorned humanity now spoke in awe. Humanity had survived what no one thought possible. Humanity had endured. Humanity had risen. And yet for those who had lived through the war, the legacy was more personal. Families gathered to honor those who had given everything, those who had built the ships, those who had sailed into the void knowing they might never return. Every life lost, every sacrifice made was remembered not with bitterness but with pride. They had fought for something larger than themselves, for hope, for survival, for the future of an entire species. On the bridge of the rebuilt Aegis, Captain Chen gazed at the stars. The void had been silent for years, but she knew it would never truly be empty. Humanity had awakened the galaxy to their presence, and some would surely come again. But she was unafraid. Humanity had learned, had prepared, had proven that no threat could break them. Not now. Not ever. She thought of the generations that had come before her. Engineers, soldiers, civilians, and dreamers who had all contributed to this moment. Their work had been hidden, their names often forgotten, but their legacy was undeniable. Humanity's rise had been patient, calculated, and silent until the time was right. And when it was, they had struck not only with power but with purpose. Children on Earth grew up hearing the story, not as a tale of war but as a lesson. No matter how small or overlooked you may seem, your strength is not measured by what others expect. It is measured by the courage to endure, the will to rise, and the determination to protect what matters. Humanity had become an example of hope, resilience, and unity, shining brightly in the vast darkness of space. Even the alien civilizations that had once mocked humanity carried the memory of the Armada. Some studied Earth's strategies in silence, learning from their ingenuity and patience. Others feared a repeat, knowing that the planet they had once considered weak could rise again if threatened. Humanity had reshaped the galaxy, not with conquest but with courage, strategy, and unyielding spirit. Captain Chen stood at the observation deck one quiet evening, watching new ships glide silently into orbit. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Let them underestimate us. Let them doubt us. Let them think we are fragile. The galaxy will remember the night Earth rose, and they will never forget that we are human. We endure, we rise, we protect. Always. The stars stretched infinitely ahead, silent witnesses to a planet that had transformed the course of the galaxy. Humanity's silent armada was no longer just a fleet. It was a promise, a warning, and a symbol. A symbol that strength is measured not only in weapons but in courage, determination, and heart, that even in silence a force can awaken to change the universe. And so, Earth remained small but unbowed, fragile yet indomitable. Its people carried the memory of the past, the lessons of the battles, and the hope for the future. Across the galaxy, every star, every system, every civilization would one day learn the truth. Humanity is not a species to be underestimated. Humanity rises, and when the next challenge came, whatever form it might take, the silent armada would awaken again. Quiet, patient, and unstoppable, humanity had shown the galaxy what it meant to survive, to endure, and to rise from the void. The story of Earth and its silent armada would never end. It would echo forever in the stars, a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. And in the hearts of every human, from the youngest child to the oldest veteran, that truth remained clear. They had risen, they had survived, and they would rise again. Always.